Board.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending the City of San Diego's Commission for Arts and Culture meeting for March 2021. I'm going to call this meeting to order now at whatever time this is, 8:34. I'd like to ask my colleagues on the commission to keep your video on throughout the meeting as much as possible. It keeps us accessible to our audience. This, of course, is a public meeting. I'm going to do a quick roll call to confirm commissioner attendance. And when I call your name, please unmute yourself and say present. Commissioner Frank? Commissioner Blevins?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Bossler?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner DeCenzo?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson? Commissioner Meza is excused. Commissioner Nuana? Commissioner Opstad?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Schoenbrunn? Commissioner Whooper? Okay, thank you. Your attendance has been noted. And also joining us today is City Arts and Culture staff, including our Executive Director, Jonathan Gluss, Chief of Civic Arts Strategies, Christine Jones, Senior Public Art Manager, Chuck Miller, Interim Senior Arts and Culture Funding Manager, Carla Centeno Aguirre, Project Manager Bel Reza, and Civic Art Project Manager Dr. Laura Bullock, as well as representative City Attorney's Office and our crack City IT Department. I would now like to share the Commission for Arts and Culture Statement of Purpose and Vision. The City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture serves in an advisory capacity to the Mayor and City Council on promoting, encouraging, and increasing support for the region's artistic and cultural assets, integrating arts and culture into community life, and showcasing San Diego as an international tourist destination. Our vision is expanding our world by celebrating creativity in San Diego. Before we get into today's agenda, I'm going to call on Bel Reza to run down some of the logistics for today's meeting. Bel, would you go ahead, please?
Of course. Good morning, commissioners. In an effort to provide greater accessibility, members of the public may join the meeting as webinar attendees and are able to provide virtual, non-agenda, and agenda comment in real time. Commissioners, city staff, and authorized presenters are attending the meeting as panelists, and the meeting will function for them identically to a typical Zoom meeting. We'll just do a quick refresher. Just please note the buttons on your control bar at the bottom of your Zoom window, the camera icon to activate your video, microphone to mute and unmute. Please remember to stay muted when you're not talking and unmute yourself when you speak. Please keep your chat window open at all times, as you will be using the chat signal when you'd like to speak. We do recognize there is a hand raising function. However, we request that you type speak in the chat window for the record, and the chair will acknowledge requests in order. Please refrain from using the meeting chat for anything other than signaling that you like to speak in order to comply with Brown Act. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bel. All righty. Our first action item is to suspend the rule whereby the executive committee sets the commission agenda. And the reason this has happened is we had a change in the agenda. So is there any public comment for this agenda item?
To those members of the public in attendance, please click the button to raise your hand and indicate that you'd like to comment. I will enable you to speak and send you a prompt to unmute yourself in order. When I call your name, please state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to provide comment, after which you will be placed on mute again. If you are joining via phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. I will call on you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. When I call on you, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please raise your hand now if you'd like to provide public comment for this agenda item. And Commissioner Poutre, I'm seeing none.
All right, thank you. I see Commissioner Bossler would like to speak. Are you wanting to speak to make the motion?
I'm hoping you could better explain what's going on. We did have a executive committee meeting in March, right? That set the agenda. So if you could just give a little bit more context for why we need to suspend, then I think we can make a motion.
Absolutely. Jean Isaacs was on the agenda for this month, and she is on the agenda for next month instead. That's the only change.
Thank you so much. Happy to make a motion.
Very good. Thanks, Commissioner Bossler. Anybody want to make a second? Just type speak. Commissioner Opsaid.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you so much. Okay, anybody have any further discussion or questions? All right, let's take a vote. I'll call your name and you'll respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Blevins?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Bossler?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown? Commissioner DeCenzo?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes?
Yay.
Commissioner
Brown is a yay. Sorry, I had trouble finding my button there.
Thanks, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Opsaid?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Yay.
Thank you. And my vote is a yay. Thanks, everybody. Motion carries. All righty. Moving on to non-agenda public comment. Do we have any non-agenda public comment?
No, we do not. And let me just check in with those members of the public in attendance. Please click the raise hand button to indicate you'd like to comment. If calling by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. And Teresa, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead, Teresa.
Good morning, commissioners. This is Teresa Kozin calling in. I represent this morning Friends of Balboa Park and the San Diego Regional Arts and Culture Coalition. This past week has been one of celebration for the arts and culture community with the announcement from the Conrad Priebus Foundation of the largest private foundation grants in many years. As one of many recipients, their grant to Friends of Balboa Park, along with the combined $1 million gift just received from the very generous Dorothea Lobb, has put us over the top of our $3 million Carousel Capital Campaign goal. Restoration continues and we look forward to reopening soon. Now I need to change hats to my role as co-chair of the San Diego Regional Arts and Culture Coalition Steering Committee. While we celebrate the generosity of private philanthropy, we know it will take much more to build strong and sustainable communities, particularly those artists and arts and culture organizations who struggled even before the pandemic. Another light of funding appears on the horizon through the federal COVID stimulus package that will spread resources throughout the state, county, and to the city of San Diego, an estimated $348 million. SDRAC plans to spend the next several weeks advocating with other arts leaders, artists, and arts organizations from every city council district and not within the county to make sure our voices are heard to return funding to arts and culture because we are essential to the emotional, social, and economic well-being of our community. We look forward to working with you on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there other public comment?
Yes, there is. Camille, I'll allow you to talk. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Camille McPherson. I'm Education Outreach Coordinator for the San Diego Ballet. I wanted to report that since the start of the school year, we have been able to shift our programming so that
That isn't just me that lost the audio, right?
Hi, I'm sorry. Am I able to be heard? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. So I'll just start over. Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Camille McPherson. I'm the Education Outreach Coordinator for the San Diego Ballet. And firstly, I want to thank the Commission for your ongoing support. I wanted to report that we've been able to shift our outreach programming to a virtual platform so that we can reach children, throughout the city. We've been able to reach over 300 students so far this year, and we have programs ongoing. One of our programs, the City Heights Library Annex program, is gone virtual to Zoom. Our teacher has actually been able to increase her outreach. So we have students joining us all the way from Nairobi, Kenya and London, which we're super excited about. We've also been able to reach a lot of local classrooms with our Meet a Dancer program and our masterclass program. We've also been using Zoom in order to reach kids throughout San Diego County. So just thank you again so much for your ongoing support. That's it.
Thank you. Belle, is there additional public comment?
Yes, I see one more. Lynn, I'm going to allow you to talk.
Wonderful. Can you hear me? Great.
Yes, we can.
My name's Lynn Vasquez, and I'm with the New Children's Museum. Yesterday, we sent emails to, I don't know, 350 or so of our generous supporters during this past year. It went to Jonathan, but I wanted to be sure that each of you commissioners knew just how much we appreciate the OSP funding we received last year. We're getting ready to announce an opening date for at least activities in our park. But meanwhile, you know, our efforts have been amazing. Thanks to you, it included, you know, expanding our programming digitally through some online resources that reached thousands of families. We have designed, assembled, and delivered more than 11,000 art kits to various social services organizations through our access programs. We created a virtual school visit kit that can be used by educators virtually and distributed 6,000 packets that go with it. Launched an anti-racism and inclusion resource site to add families in conversations about racial justice, social justice issues. And we've got some new murals up on our exterior windows and new things happening inside, including a 40-foot slide in El Masaya, a new installation that we hope to have open by the end of May. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you all knew how much we appreciated it. This was our Renewing Hope campaign, and we can't thank you enough. Have a great day.
Thank you. Belle, is there additional public comment?
That's all I see, Commissioner Poutre.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the chair's report. And before we get started, we have an action item. Do we have any public comment on this action item?
Please raise your hand if you'd like to comment, and I will unmute you. And seeing none, Commissioner Poutre.
All right, great, thank you. Hope everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from the February 26th commission meeting. If somebody would like to make a motion to approve the minutes, type speak in the chat box, and I will recognize you. Commissioner Smith?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second from Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. All right, now we'll take a vote. Oh, sorry, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote, and I'll call your name and you will respond out loud, yay, nay, or abstain. Don't forget, you may vote even if you did not attend this meeting. Okay, Commissioner Blevins?
Commissioner, we need to amend the minutes or the.
Sorry, I just noticed that, Commissioner Bosser. A lot going on the screen here. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
Okay, we're good. All righty. So back to the voting. Commissioner Blevins?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Bosler?
Yay.
I see Charles has his finger up, or are you counting? Okay, sorry. Commissioner Brown?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner DeCenzo?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Ofsted?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Yay.
And my vote is a yay. All right, motion carries. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I have to take a minute to acknowledge some things. First of all, it occurs to me, it's been a year now since that we've been doing this. And I really appreciate everything everybody's done to help us continue our work. We were able to do the panels. They were great. The discussions are terrific. We've had meetings in every city council district online to help people apply. And we really didn't just survive, and we prevailed. And I feel emotional about it, but I'm grateful. But I'm also emotional because I'm thinking about those women in Atlanta, you know, and the crime for which they paid with their life was they were working and they were Asian, and that was it. And I'm just, you know, when's it gonna stop? So I want to acknowledge that, you know, we all stand with that community, our AAPI community. And, you know, if that isn't heartbreaking enough, then I'm thinking about those children who walked here from Honduras and are now going to be in our convention center trying to be reunited with their families. And what a trauma that must be. There's good news. I'm not going to cry through the whole meeting.
It's okay. You can if you want to.
The advantage of doing therapy online is you always have tissues by your computer. Thank you so much to the Conrad Prebys Foundation for their generous grants to our community. Our good friend Erin Decker guided that, and I'm grateful to her for her work in doing that. Okay. Okay, regarding the direct business of the commission, I want to let you know that I've asked Policy and Funding Committee Chair, Commissioner Bosler, to convene a meeting, a special meeting of that committee to discuss the diversity, equity, and inclusion report that we commissioned earlier this fiscal year. We have a discussion to have. We have a lot to chew on, and we're really looking forward to that and bringing it back to this body in April for some recommendations in terms of our path forward in that space, the work that we'll be doing in that DEI space. Pardon me, everyone. So, as you all know, April is National Poetry Month. And we're so fortunate to have a poet laureate for the city of San Diego. And I thought it would be great to ask him to come and tell us about his first year, what he's been working on. And so it's a pleasure to introduce my Monday correspondent and our poet laureate, Ron Salisbury. Ron, I'm so sorry, Ron, will you say a few words, please?
I sure can, Janet. It's great to see all of you. It's great to be here. And, you know, after a whole year, it's just been kind of a crazy year that we all have. And I hope that you're all well and most of you vaccinated. I know that myself, I've earned my Fauci Ouchie merit badge, as they are called. That's with it. So my public project for the city starts on April 2nd. And it is titled San Diego Poets of Resilience. And that's part of my charge as the Poet Laureate. And this is thanks to so many people in the city who have helped to put this on. We never expected it would be like this, and everybody has stood up and contributed, and it has worked quite well. We've, had to figure things out, and I am very pleased with the way it is. So a little idea about the structure of it: there'll be 6 monthly workshops to encourage the poets of San Diego to write and submit their poems about their experience in the last year. And not just the challenges, but also their successes. That's part of what resilience is to recover quickly. So each of those presentations will be a craft lecture, examples, a writing prompt, and I'll also have local guest poets and local guest poetry teachers. So this ability to give voice to poets, especially to the senior poets in San Diego, is very exciting. And all of the poems that they submit will be posted online. They can also send me questions, so it's not just a talking head. And I will be able to respond to example questions. And I'm looking forward to that. I also get to choose 30 poems as example poems that will be published in a special section of next year's San Diego Poetry Annual that was offered to me. And I think it's a wonderful chance. The other thing that we have is a mapping component to this. And this is an interactive map that shows the poets and their poems by zip code location here in the city. So by the end of the year, you'll be able to by zip code, and this will be good for the city commissioners to look at the participation in their various areas with just an overlay over the top of the zip code map with it. Then in the fall, after the 6 months are over, we're going to have a public reading. Even if it's Zoom, because I'm used to doing public readings with Zoom now. Hopefully it'll be in person, but we'll see how this works out. And it's a final celebration where the poets can read a single poem if they choose to do that. So it's been a lot of work with a lot of people to get this started, and it has continued throughout the year and then picked up a pace this winter and into the spring that's with it. I have been somewhat busy, not as busy as I was planning to, because last year at this time, like all of you, everything got canceled. I had probably 20 appearances that had been scheduled that all had to be canceled. And slowly they have come in, and I'm doing things, it's picking up now, probably because of April being National Poetry Month. That's with it. So we're still outreaching to the poets and to the community. It's not quite in the same way that we had imagined, but you can find the link to this presentation on the Commission for Arts and Culture page, and it's under Poet Laureate. And right now it'll say, here's a little blurb that tells you about it, and it'll say, look here on April 2nd, and that's where it'll appear, and it's open access. You click on it. You also have a handout that you can download. It's a synopsis with the examples that are on it for anyone that wants. That's with it. I see that someone has posted that for us right now. So I would like now to read a poem for you this morning, and it's about the heart. See, our whole English language is made up of metaphors and abstractions. And abstractions are the scourge of poets. When I say or write anger or love or pain or the heart, exactly what do I mean? You see, your definition of joy is probably significantly different from my definition of joy. So I like the challenge of taking an abstraction and then giving it definition and defining it. And this heart, the idea of the heart, is an element that has sustained us through this year. It has been challenged and it has been rewarded in strange ways. So in my poem, imagine there's a city department of the heart. Now that department would have to have standards, and it would have to have inspectors for sure. There we go. So this poem is called The Department of Hearts. It is no longer a question of architecture, the heart caught in the bureaucracy of city planning. The inspectors question the fenestration, the 3 balconies barely supported. But the builder, survivor of devastating earthquakes with his creations, pleads for principle before logic. Doesn't the sphere of beauty count? Aristotle's ether, the 50, the divine, the rarefied fire that ignites if one lives long enough, the heart that consumes sense. Each floor, a moment left to devour with such appetite it holds the whole structure upright. One inspector checks the code book. Another measures the circumference. And the third, the oldest, who really knows the building trade, removes his yellow hard hat and falls to his knees. Maybe we all should. Thanks, folks.
Wow, thanks, Ron. Thank you so much. Thanks. The project sounds awesome. I'm already trying to think of what I'm going to write about to submit poems. And I love the idea of mapping our poets by zip code. That's terrific. We've been showing our city council people, the newer ones, we've been showing them the heat map that staff has put together, and they're really excited by that. And I think this would be a wonderful addition to that as well. That's terrific. Thank you so much. Well, as you know, April is also Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in California. And we already heard last month from a speaker about some statewide efforts, but I would like to hear from Jonathan about some additional efforts. So Jonathan, take it away.
Thank you, Janet. Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. I believe many of you know California's Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month is a statewide initiative that was began last year to elevate the visibility of the arts, culture, and creativity each spring to remind legislative bodies of the power and impact of arts, culture, and creativity in our economy, our communities, and this year in particular, our workforce, our creative workforce. Californians for the Arts conceptualize and leads this statewide initiative. I've had the good fortune to have been invited to sit on the board this past winter, joining fellow San Diegans, Felicia Shaw, DeLuke Smith, Bridget Cantu-Ware, and Victoria Hamilton, our board president. And some of you may know, Matt Carney, director of the San Diego Ballet. Matt has joined the staff at Californians for the Arts as well. So we have quite a San Diego contingency represented in this statewide initiative. Here locally, SDRAC partners with CFTA for local activities, convenings, etc. And of course, we're always part of that planning process. So I've invited Victoria this morning to brief you all on the exciting work taking place this month as led by CFTA. And Victoria, I think you are with us this morning, so I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan, and good morning, commissioners and commission staff. So good to see all of you. Yeah, we're really excited about this year in our advocacy goals. We're going to go big and we're going to go bold. We're going to engage, I hope many of you, in talking to our local state legislators about some new initiatives. $1 per capita, $40 million for the California Arts Council. The governor's California Creative Corps, Senator Allen's California Creative Workforce Act. That's just the beginning of our strategy to really bring it home. I invite you to engage, and Jonathan, if you could help, we'll be meeting with legislators between the April 19th through the 23rd. We already have Senator President Pro Tem Atkins engaged with us. But more than anything, we hope that you will join us for our regional, or excuse me, our statewide convening. And it's free, and it's going to be full of really good content. And San Diego will definitely be present. We have artists, City Choir will be performing. Disco Riot will be performing. We have recommended 3 local artists to present throughout the month. And Creme de la Creme is our keynote opening speaker is our Mayor Todd Gloria. And that was not a big push. I mean, he really has a statewide reputation, and folks are really excited about having him kick off the day. And just to bring it home, going big, going bold, Californians for the Arts is dedicating our advocacy efforts to the legacy of Larry Bozza. So please join us, and thank you for all your good work.
Thank you, Victoria. So nice to have you here this morning. Just to underscore Victoria's comments, we're happy to reach out to me directly, reach out to Victoria, either or both. It would be great to have all the commissioners participate in some or all of the activities during Advocacy Month. We do have a really strong contingency of San Diegans, as I mentioned. However, we do not have a strong representation at the CAC. On the CAC council itself. So it's all the more important that we make ourselves omnipresent in Sacramento to ensure that as much funding as possible is coming to San Diego City and County. So more details to come. There's a website, go to Californians for the Arts, and reach out directly to either one of us if you want more information.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. And there you have it, Janet. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. Nice to see you, Victoria. Oh, she's gone. Like to make note, Commissioner Frank has joined us. Welcome. And I want to say, you know, in the past, if you wanted to participate in advocacy at the state level, you had to get on a plane and go up to Sacramento. But guess what? You can do it in your pajamas this year. So I really want to see some participation if you have a moment or two here or there. It's just a couple of days in April, so you can plan ahead for an hour or so here and there to make your case with our state representatives. Let them know it's important to you. Alrighty.
Janet, if I could add quickly to that, to your point, if anyone's interested in national advocacy, it will be the same opportunity. We can all Zoom participate in as little or as much as advocacy days in Washington as well. Our colleagues at Americans for the Arts are working really quickly right now to sort through the second stimulus bill to better understand all of the opportunities for arts and culture funding, both at the NEA and through other agencies. All that information is on the website of Americans for the Arts, and I'm happy to send any of you a link for Advocacy Week in Washington as well. So great time to do double dose.
That sounds great, and sign me up for the link, please. Okay, Next up, we have some committee reports. We're going to move to policy and funding. Do we have any public comment on this item, Val?
A no to those members of the public in attendance, please click the button to raise your hand and indicate that you'd like to speak. And seeing none, Commissioner Poutre.
Alrighty, great. Commissioner Bossler, would you like to share your committee report?
Yes, thank you so much. And before I do that, Jonathan, if it would be possible to send to all of the commissioners the advocacy opportunities and ways to join those various meetings, I think you'll find a lot of us want to be able to participate.
Happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here this morning. Wonderful to see our poet laureate this morning. What a treat to have Ron as part of the team. And Victoria, thank you so much for what you're doing. With respect to our policy and funding committee meeting that was on March 12th, we had an opportunity to have a presentation by the Horton Plaza Theaters Foundation Executive Director, Sandra Simmons. This is an annual presentation that she makes to provide the committee an update on the foundation's work on behalf of the city in both the operations and management of the Lyceum Theater. Additionally, Sandra discussed the impact of COVID on their operations and updated on renovations to the facility taking place now and into the next fiscal year. Those renovations use state redevelopment agency legacy funding. After Sandra's presentation, our commission's chief of civic art strategies, Christine Jones, gave a presentation on the newly updated Arts and Culture Funding Program Outreach Map. The map was very informative, and it's an amazing gift to see the work our funded partners are doing throughout the city. During the executive director report, Jonathan gave us a brief update on the general picture for the city's fiscal year 22 budget, which, as you all know, will be determined to a great extent by federal funding decisions taking place at present. He also briefed us on the fiscal year 23 panel deliberations. These panels took place during the past couple of weeks, and I want to thank Janet Poutre for attending the majority of the panels, and I want to thank the other commissioners who attended as well. I had the opportunity to sit in on some of the panels and was very impressed with the overall level of both professionalism and knowledge that the panel members brought to the conversation. I'd like to thank city staff, Carla Centeno in particular, for all of her efforts that go into orchestrating such smooth panel days. The committee will meet again on April 9th to review panel recommendations. I'd also like to remind everyone, while this has been a particularly stressful year for all of us, this includes arts and culture organizations that this program supports and advances. We are looking beyond April and into the remainder of the fiscal year and look forward to working with all of you as we dig deeper into this impact that the program has had, not just on organizations, but community-wide. Have faith, a lot of good lies ahead. Thank you so much, Commissioner Poutre.
Good report. Thanks, Commissioner Bossler. Already, pardon me. Next up is a public art committee, and Commissioner Meza had asked that Charles Miller's staff to give the report for the committee. So Charles.
Thank you, Commissioner Poutre, and good morning, commissioners. Yeah, so I'll just very briefly, on behalf of Commissioner Meza and Commissioner Wooper, the Public Art Committee did not meet in March. However, we do anticipate meeting in April next week, and that is it for now. Back to you, Commissioner Poutre.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Advocacy and Outreach Committee. Commissioner Hughes, do you have a report for us?
I do. Thank you very much, Chair Poutre. Good morning, everyone. Wanted to first say I had a chance to say hello to one of the panels last week and was so thankful for their work and the work of the staff, specifically Carla, for keeping the panel process going through all the obstacles that honestly would have crushed a lesser staff and a lesser team. So congratulations to you all. It made me miss being a panelist. So I miss those days, but better and beyond. Excuse me. So we've been busy in advocacy. We did not have a committee meeting this month, but we've been very busy with city council visits this month. Thank you very much to Belle for arranging those meetings, and thank you to Christine, Carla, Chuck, and Dr. Bullock, as well as Jonathan, for all of your hard work in putting together the council packets. They are very much appreciated and extremely useful in those meetings. I would also like to thank Commissioner Smith, Jackson, Whooper, and Opstead for joining Janet, Jonathan, and myself on those calls thus far. Your contributions have been invaluable. Thank you, Janet and Jonathan, for all of your leadership. Both of you have been just brilliant in those meetings that we've had thus far. And this is the first time we have, we've had, I think it's 4 meetings thus far, and we've talked to city council members and their staff. But this is the first time we've been able to interact with all city council members, which is really rewarding. The dialogues have been really focused on economic data and COVID impact. Plus, I'll never let a moment go by to promote the idea of a cultural plan. The outreach and impact map has been extremely useful. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you so much, staff. Thank you so much to City IT for keeping that up to date. And I'll tell you, every single one of the city council members has gone, ooh, ah, to looking at it. It is revelatory data for them. And whatever we do, let's keep that one going because it is so impactful in these meetings. Jonathan is going to be sharing in his report some data on the annual economic impact of data arts, and it's been very useful in these meetings thus far to be able to give real-time feedback on economic impact, both in terms of a normal year and the economic data and the impacted year of this past 2020. We will be having an outreach and advocacy meeting on Friday the 2nd at 8:30 a.m. So feel free to join us. And I look forward to participating in Advocacy Month in April, both at the local, state, and national level. So I bring on those Zoom meetings. And I'm with you, Chair, that being able to Zoom all of these meetings makes it so much easier because sometimes extricating myself from my day job was tough to fly up to Sacramento, but if I can just block out an hour here or there for Zoom, brilliant. So anyway, back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Yes, I fear for the future of the convention industry once everybody realizes how much easier this is. Okay, thank you for your report, and thank you, Tyler, and all the other commissioners that helped us out with meeting with those city council people. Sometimes it feels a little bit awkward, but I know it really has a positive effect when they get to hear from us and we have a dialogue and offer them the opportunity to ask us questions or just, straighten out things in their mind about what we are doing. So it's been very positive, I think. Let's see, next up is Commissioner Engagement Ad Hoc Committee, and that would be Commissioner Nwana, who is not here today. So I think I will then move on to director's reports. Do we have any public comment in regard to that agenda item, Belle?
To those members of the public, please raise your hand if you'd like to comment on this agenda item. And I see none, Chair Poutre.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to Jonathan, I have to say that little chat window at time, that's how you get it. Okay, I never can tell if I've already seen that message and responded there. Okay, go ahead, Jonathan, please give us your report.
Thank you, Janet. Firstly, I would just like to thank audience members. It's so appreciated that you join us not just for comment, but you actually stay with us. And commissioners, I just want to remind you that we do routinely hear from members of the community that they they really appreciate seeing the videos of the meetings. So rest assured, even if people are not attending in person or this meeting, they really are watching your conversations and appreciate the meeting content. So I wanted to step back for a minute and remind everyone of the data arts findings and the data arts tool. So most of you know that we, for 2 decades now, our agency, as well as many across the country, have been using data arts, which is a Dallas-based organization, to gather economic impact findings. This is something California was one of the first in the country to actually start to invest in data arts. It was an initiative through foundations, and then a lot of city agencies signed on. This is the tool that you all have used for many years to annually roll out the economic impact of the arts. I wanted to remind you of this today because it is such a nice complement to the the community impact map that we rolled out 2 years ago. There are limits to it. So I think it's important to always understand the limitations of this data. This is information that we gather only from our OSP organizations. So keeping in mind that when you're talking about economic impact, some of our largest gatherings in the country, or excuse me, in the city, like our fairs and festivals, are funded through CCSD. So this is only through looking at the economic impact of our OSP or GenOp grantees. But with that said, then the numbers are really staggering. So I wanted to quickly just remind you of this tool. Excuse me, total expenditures for FY19. The other caveat here is, please remember, this is obviously pre-COVID. So it'll be interesting to see next year what these numbers look like with the year of COVID. But nonetheless, total expenditures of these organizations are going up exponentially. Some of this is one-time expenditures, but we have seen year over year an increase in expenditures by the organizations. Operating revenue also continues to increase, as does contributed. And I think the takeaway here is the multiplier effect of our investment in these organizations and how that adds to their capacity to bring in additional contributed revenue. And I would suggest, most importantly, during this year of COVID, jobs, $152 million in salaries and independent contractors. And we know that the vast majority of that goes to local jobs. So these are, excuse me, these are important employers in our community. Next slide, please. Of course, the organizations are also driven by volunteerism, as this notes. But perhaps more importantly is the number of people served. 6 million people in fiscal year 2019. And again, that is not the festivals. That is just the door entrance into these organizations. Next slide, please. And we spend a lot of time right now talking about the community impact through our GIS mapping system and the thousands of individuals that are touched through the community impact of the organizations we invest in. In fact, there was more than 1,000 points of contact in communities, but 419,000 school children have been serviced in 2019 through these organizations. So nearly 500,000 of our school-age children are being, invested in creatively through these organizations. So it's a huge, huge, huge impact. So I'm offering this to you to keep this in mind as we talk about community-based impact. It's both outreach and inreach. It's workforce development. It's employing local talent. Excuse me. And of course, it's driving our local tourism. So really important, profound data. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you before I turn it over to the team to talk about some of the programming, excuse me, is just a quick update on the city's FY22 budget. As Janet said, the city's budget is being considered right now. We did get a substantial allocation of federal funding. We are still waiting to hear what the guideposts or criteria for distribution of the funds may be. There is going to be more guidelines than the first stimulus package. So the city is through the finance department and chief operating officer is still sorting through that information as it comes from Washington, literally on a daily basis. Nonetheless, we do anticipate the mayor announcing his budget on or near April 15th. So we'll have much more information at the April meeting of the Commission for Arts and Culture. And again, I want to give a shout out, as many of you have, to the team for so much that's going on right now. Carla Centeno, can you come on screen for a second? I don't see you, Carla. Let me find you.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty. Got it. Hi.
Okay. Big shout out to Carla. Huge accomplishment. Huge, huge, huge accomplishment getting through these panels. Thank you for your patience and tenacity and grace with all of these panels. You've done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
As usual, Belle is right there with the rest of the team, making sure that things are moving smoothly. Belle, thank you. You were at every panel, making sure things were running right alongside Carla. So thank you for all of your hard work. You have really, really learned the ropes of funding. So kudos and thank you to you, Belle, for everything that you're doing as well this spring. And with that, I want to turn it over to Christine to talk about some other very exciting programmatic activities taking place.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good morning, commissioners. So just to share the shout outs, I do want to give a shout out to the public art teams, Chuck and Laura. They have been working so hard on SD Practice Initiative with all the acquisitions. So they are now officially in the city's civic art collection. So there's over 100 new artworks by 89 local artists. It was a very, very big process in order to receive those artworks and process payments. So again, kudos to the public art team for that. And just to reiterate what's been talked about many times today already is just the Citywide Impact Map. It has launched. For those commissioners who may not have seen it yet, I'll share the link in the chat in just a minute. But the map this year also includes a landing page. So it's housing both maps the one originally from last year as well as the new one. And there's some comparative tools now available to be able to start comparing maps from year to year and start seeing trends. So I encourage you all to check that out if you haven't. Again, I'll share the link for that. And as Jonathan pointed out, there's kind of some really interesting data points that are certainly coming out of that. There was over 583 unique sites where this outreach took place across the city. And in addition, over 1,000 connections citywide. So this map, along with the data that Jonathan kind of presented today, is pretty impactful. So please take a look and you can play around and toggle with it. So again, I'll share the link in just a second. And just want to let you all know that we are working with the city's communication department, and we are relaunching the city's social, or I guess for specifically the Commission for Arts and Culture social media presence on Twitter. So that is relaunching next week. And so check out the Twitter handle, SDArtsCom, and please start retweeting. The more retweets we get, the more possibilities we have for bringing on other social media platforms. So retweet away. And then coming up a little bit later in April, Public Art Team's been working on getting ready for another Meet the Artists event. So artist M.R. Bernadas, as you may know, is commissioned by the city to create a permanent site-specific mural for the Civic Center concourse. So specifically, the mural will be located on the wall of the pedestrian walkway, but kind of between the Evans Park garage and the presently vacated old site of downtown Johnny Brown's. So you're all invited to join MR for a conversation about her practice, share your knowledge about the concourse, what happens there, the downtown core in general. The conversation will take place via Zoom on April 22nd at 5:30 p.m. So, and the artist is also sharing a survey. She's really interested in getting as many people to fill out a survey. She has questions that she's wanting to learn more about. And so if you fill out the survey, you will get a free hand-sketched animation designed by the artist. So I'll share that link in just a minute as well. And then just another shout out to Kate Lengi, who is the Poetry Out Loud champion for San Diego County. So she did participate a little bit later in March at the state finals, and she was identified as one of the top 10 finalists statewide. So just want to give a big shout out to her, and thank Janet, Dahan, and Ron for all participating as part of that process. And then just last but not least, just to reiterate what Ron brought up, was that his project will be launching on April 2nd. So that's next Friday. I encourage you all to check it out. It's pretty exciting, and looking forward to maybe you all becoming poets and submitting some poems after you see Ron's workshops and respond to those prompts. So I think that sums up the updates for today.
Thank you, Christine. I'd like to just close staff comments with a shout out to Commissioner DeZenzo. We have Twitter. So I know you've been very excited about that. So first step in social media. All good things. And that's our report, Janet.
Wonderful. Well, that's great news. I'm into that as well. So I have to spend some time tweeting. Okay, next up on the agenda is new business for future agendas. Do we have any public comment for that, Belle?
No. To those members of the public in attendance, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak.
All righty.
No, we don't, Chair Boutre.
Okay, thank you. And do any of our commissioners have any suggestions? Type speak in the box. I noted, I will make note that Commissioner DeZenzo has already followed the SDArtsCom tag on Twitter. I'm curious as to why it took you so long, but okay. Just kidding. Anybody else have anything else to add for next agenda? Okay. And does anybody have anything they'd like to share in regard to arts, culture, creativity experiences you've had recently? All righty. Well,
if I may, a shameless plug for Coronado Playhouse's Harlem Duet. It is a streaming production that was recently called out by Pam Cragen and Pat Lawner. It is a rarely done play about different versions of Othello and his life before marrying Desdemona, and some really great local actors and director are involved. So I highly recommend it.
I just read a review of that the other day. Commissioner Bossler?
Yes, I just wanted to share for all of the nonprofit arts organizations out there that work with youth, you're going to want to be looking at the San Diego Foundation website. Potentially there's going to be funding there for folks to apply for to do summer programming with youth.
Great, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm trying to keep up with the chat box here. Let's see. Commissioner Opstead has posted a link.
I have. The San Diego Museum of Art has Young Art opens up today, and their longest running exhibition. And they partner with SDG&E to interpret 25 of the kindergarten through grade 12 student work on their utility boxes. So they hired local artists to paint those. And so the link that I threw on there, it actually opens today. There is a driving or biking tour that highlights 25 of those. And I'm absolutely thrilled and proud that 3 of those are done by my students. So really great shout out that the museum is doing really fantastic work, getting really creative. And because the exhibit is on display right next to the sculpture garden, it is my understanding that it is open and it will run through May.
Terrific. That's wonderful news. And I have been following your Insta where your student work has been posted, and it really a lot of terrific work there.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say how happy I am to have some of our arts organizations opened again. Last weekend, it was such a beautiful weekend, and my mother visited, and I took her to the Japanese Friendship Garden, which was open, and there's a handful of museums that are starting to open now. And we also walked through the Spanish Village, and it was really great to see all the working artists that are still out there and still working and still creating. So yay, San Diego, let's keep it going. We're in the red tier. Let's get more stuff open so that we can all get out and see some good art.
Good point. Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Following on the Yay San Diego theme, just wanted to let everyone know that we're still full speed ahead with the application for the World Design Capital 2024. Jonathan and I were on a call the other day with the teams from Tijuana and the Innovadora, and it was just really fantastic to realize we're doing this as a region, and we are going to get through this. And if we can all just imagine when we are, I'm looking at Jonathan, when we are the World Design Capital of the world, just how cool that's going to be for all of our arts and culture organizations, our businesses, our tourism economy, and then just realizing, let's be San Diego. Let's stop thinking, oh, we're not Chicago, we're not New York, we're not San Francisco, we are San Diego. Word on the street is that the only other contenders right now that at least are emerging are Moscow and Frankfurt. We've not heard anything about any other American cities. But again, we would be the first city in America to win. And the fact is we're also doing this as a bi-national location, which is huge. So again, I will actually send the link out. There's an updated video that is amazing. And it was awesome to also hear Malin Burnham just saying, this is awesome, let's do this. So in our city, when Malin Burnham says this is, we need to pay attention. So I will actually send the link out for that just via email to all the commissioners later, since we don't capture the chat, just so you can see what's going on. Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan, for your leadership with all of that.
That's great news, Rebecca. Thank you for that. Commissioner Blevins?
Yes, I wanted to remind everybody that 6435 Imperial Avenue, we're still collecting books and slightly used shoes. And also that in May, that whole arts project in the 8 blocks will be sort of kicking off, doing a light opening for sign up for the Dion J Art Experience. And what it is the families will look at art. I think there's about 5 or 6 different images. And then as a family, they will do poetry or writing of what expression they get about texture and emotions and things of those nature. So I'll get you more information, but I want to give you a little teaser right now about things that are coming from the 8 blocks.
Great, thank you. Dahan, can you put the address? Can you type that in the box? I mean, in the chat box. Thank you. Good suggestion, Jonathan. All righty. Anybody else? Well, great. Thank everybody for attending this morning and for your participation in our conversation. I'm going to give it a second for Dahan's address to get popped up in the box there. There we go, 6435 Imperial Avenue, books and I guess that's used shoes. I'm as good a typer as you are, so. Anyway, all right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance today and all the contributions that everybody has made. I hope everyone enjoys their spring holidays, whatever they may be. And we'll see you all here again in April. Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye, everybody.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.